Now, what is negotiation? In operational engagement, there are two sides. There are kinetic and non-kinetic. The problem of insecurity in Nigeria should not be situated in one silo. That's the reason why we say it's complex. So if you disaggregate it, there are political issues and there are things that are non-political. And then for the ones that are political, what is politics? Politics is managed conflict. That's what Zatman said. Managed conflicts. And I believe the senator will agree with me. Conflict is managed conflict. Politics is managed conflict. But bad politics is what leads to violence. So if we have violence, then meaning that the politics we played, there's something wrong with it. And that's where negotiation comes in. That's where negotiation comes in. So what is wrong with that? Now, on the other side, there are those who are bent. In fact, it must either they have their way or nothing else. Then, of course, that's where you now bring in the violent power of the state to bear. And that's why the military is involved in some. So the military should not be, anytime, the question shouldn't be asked to a military man whether he favors negotiation. Then on Operation Safe Corridor, I think, again, the developments with Operation Safe Corridor have been misinterpreted completely. There is nothing wrong. I support Operation Safe Corridor. I supported it yesterday. I will support it today. I will support it tomorrow. Why? Operation Safe Corridor is like a prison program. Or now, we no longer call it prison. We say a correctional program. Now, what is it about? We have been engaged in this, and we know that there are those who actually are being used as foot soldiers. They don't even know what Boko Haram or Iswapot is about. Their own is that stomach infrastructure got them, and they said take, and they collected gun. Investigation will separate them. Then you now have high risk, medium risk, and low risk. It is the low risk element that go through Operation Safe Corridor, while the others go through the legal process. This is the reason why. So when you hear again all those gutter talks that they are being recruited, none of them have been recruited into the army. In any case, anybody, whether it's a terrorist, convicted, he goes to jail. When he comes, where is he going to go to? So what is wrong with that? So now, after serving prison sentence, just like this one's now, was the one, Madala, and even this bombing, they will go to prison. They will finish. When they finish, where will they go to? Okay, will you say you will not take them back? This is the challenge that we have. But the point is, whilst in prison, how have you been able to reorient him? So that when he comes out a better person. I think those are things we should integrate, rather than thinking that those who came up with Operation Safe Corridor, they are just, and then people in government are supporting. No, all this does not exist. And I don't thank you. It's not at the front line that should happen. And that's why I also want to tell, if during briefing, especially in the front line, somebody gives you information, don't come back to him, you are distracting him. He has told you. And that information had actually been cascaded up the leadership ladder. That's where you should go to interrogate deeply to be able to do your investigation. But coming back to the man and then making him to be, you are distracting him, because that is actually not his. In any case, the frontline elements are not given those, they are not cut out for such things. Maybe this might not be for us to go deeper, but I'm trying to say that such a council is where deeper issues that affect the strategy and even future operations can be revealed, and the media can now say, okay, this is against the state. It will not be good to do this, not be good to do that, and all that. But if it's tactical issues, I need that. I need to know that pet name, and then to also know your system. Moderation in all this is what is essential, and I think that this is the military. You're very right. You are overburdened. The military is actually overburdened, and that's why I also say that partly, jobs that are meant for police, military is not doing everywhere. Everybody. But we're already there. It's not for us to begin to grovel over them here, but to say that these are realities that confront us. The preference for foreign reporters, again, it lies within your bid to be able to change that orientation. And that goes to our consciousness. When people talk about, colonialism in the modern era, that's precisely what they're talking about. We're still living, Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from bent Australia. We must begin to reorient ourselves and emancipate ourselves in that sense. Anyway, that said, now the questions. Ambrose. Well, it's a suggestion. We've been talking, and I will keep talking for our colleagues to be more open. But let me say this. Perception of how you view the military also matters. Before the average Nigerian today, the military is for no good. It is a frame of mind. That frame of mind is anchored at the fact that within, and which I also mentioned in my book, within our evolution as a state, the military, some military officers have had incursion into politics, into governance, which must be contextualized. So that you have military rule does not mean that the military establishment, they are dictators. The military, it is the military regime. The military regime by its nature is dictatorial. Why? Because an aspect of government has been suspended. So they must dictate. That is what it is in government. Even there are, regimes across the world that are still dictatorial. All right? But to paint it, which is where editors, you need to do a lot of job, to reconscientize Nigerians, for us to leave that mood, for us to think that we're no longer the military men you see, when they never took part in political governance. They suffered this for the fate, what those who think they suffered it. They are even the worst, they are the worst victims. And I said it in my book. So until we change that impression, the military will not serve us the good that we expect. So first and foremost, your disposition towards the men and women in uniform must first change. Why? Because they are your kids and kin. They are there to do a job for you. You must first accept the fact that you own them. And you must also revere their responsibility, their task. But when you give impression that these people, look at the same thing with the police, until we begin to change that impression, we keep seeing it. What you say is what you get. So military rule has gone. So don't associate the military institution with military regime. No, they are two different things. So this impression that the military, they are two, which Madam tried to touch on, is a mentality that we have not left. That's not. So the military, that the military is not involved. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that by virtue of their responsibility in terms of security provisioning, with the right engagement, there's no military commander that would not engage. And of course, I believe that we have seen that things are actually changing. So, but then, as a suggestion, we'll keep talking about it. But I want to appeal that we as editors and members of the media, we must educate the citizenry. Military personnel, or if you like, security personnel, they are valuable assets for us as a people. Are there some that are bad eggs? Of course, many. But do they represent the establishment? No, they do not. Can they do better? Yes, they can. But do not use the broad brush of, because of the experience you have with, one person or the other, to think that that's how the experience. No. These are responsible organizations. Police, the military, and by the security agencies. They are, especially for the military that I spent close to 4 decades. I know the training that it is a military that you should be proud of. And it behoves on you to promote that part of it. Are there those who have done badly? Of course there are. So we should isolate them. They should not be the template for assessment. My dear brother, quite a good number of things that you said. Many of those things are just allusions, careless talks, beer parlor, pepper soup joint kind of representations. They are just caricature. But the one that, I forgot to say that, allow me, I was CDS when he also repeated it, and we invited him. It's not for me to embarrass him here. When there are those, if you are looking for attention, it's different from you speaking facts. And unfortunately, many people want to seek attention rather than presenting facts. Okay, name those you said they are, so that we'll work with it. You can't. We invited them. After that, did he say anything again? Until now he has said, he came up recently again. Come on. That's the word. It's not necessary. In any case, there are those, they have asked me this question several times, that some people, because they want to make money, at the expense of your life, and people's life, and sweat. But then you must not also confuse the fact that when there is war, there are those who profiteer. It's part and parcel of the war economy. So, but then is it the officers, the leadership? How can that be? When we are looking for resources, you now be far from. But what many people fail to realize, and I have used this several times to explain, and that I'm glad that Senator is also here, because they are the worst in terms of giving that narrative that they have released so much money. And I asked them, when you say you have released so much money relative to what? It's a relative term. If I need 1 million naira to be able to take care of myself and my family, all right? 1 million naira is huge money. Another person may be needing only 500,000. Another person may even just require 10,000 naira. So when you hear that somebody collected 1 million naira, the person who is looking for 10,000 naira, say he's wasting money. Relative to operation, you have men that you are going to feed. Take for example, if there are only 10,000 people, As at the time I was CDS, what is released and appropriated by them and government is released is 1,000 naira to feed one person per day. 1,000 naira. I don't know, they've increased it now. We made a case for it to be increased, that at least a soldier, we should be able to minimally feed them with 2,500 naira per day. I'm talking about one person. So when you multiply 1,000 times 10 for one day times 30, you know how much that is? That is food. Now assuming you had them 100,000, you know how much that is? That's food. You eat food and then go. You have not fired a shot. So that's huge money. Then you also have to buy fuel for the vehicles to move. You cascade all that. Then we now come to ammunition. The AK-47 rifle, which is the smallest that you fire, as at the time I was CDS, it was almost 50 cents. About 50 cents per round. Now, maybe it's close to $1 per round. Once you fire a pound, it's gone. It's gone. Each soldier is supposed to carry 3 magazines. A magazine contains 30 rounds. We are going elementary now because since these questions have come over and over again. When he carries 33, so 3 times 30, that's 90. Now, for a patrol, that before he could even say Jack Robinson and then he encounters, those 90 rounds are gone. Let's assume that 50 cents, so 90, that's about, calculate it. For one soldier, multiplied by, with our working figure was 10,000. And no. How many? Those are expendables. Those are expendables. So now, we come to vehicle. So today, because of choice, because we have no alternative, we are now using Hilux. How much is Hilux? Hilux now, when we started buying Hilux was 4 million naira. It increased to 4.5 to 5 million, from 7.5, 10 million, 15 million, 21 million, 30 million. Before I left, it was almost 30 million. Then you now go to, reconfigure it. Now, we're not talking about armored vehicles. So I'm going this length to be able to distill, just for us to disaggregate what these issues are. And then a brand new vehicle that you just deployed, suddenly as you are moving, and it enters IED, it's gone. You have released so much money to buy it. You cannot say that it will not be replaced. That they went for operation and they've expended all those ammunition, that the money we gave you yesterday, then are we, not to talk of, now let me come to the issue of T-72. When you are angry, there are a lot of things you say. And you give those, you make such expressions to be able to make the point that, look, things are not going well. So you hang on to all manner of things. What is wrong with T-72? What you see on TV in Ukraine, it's not T-72. It's T-72 now. But the question is it functional? Now, T-72, we only introduced it, not quite. It was during the administration of Goodluck Jonathan, towards the end of his administration, when the war was raging, and we felt, look, something had to be done at that time, and that's how it came. So what is wrong with it? Of course, there are other newer variants of even the T-72, which, subsequently we had also procured some. But then, and this is where, in my book, I also talked about security sector reforms, and I think it's necessary for us to go to look at them. And for the senator to, and I heard on TV recently that there's going to be something on security. I will be very much interested. Because if you do not know these things, problems that you don't know are problems you can never solve. So here, we talked about infrastructure, which has inhibited reporters from actually doing their work, media for doing their work. As it is for the media, so also it is for security agencies. So the point here is, no matter how much is released, it's never enough. It can never be enough. Even for Nigeria, our budget can never be enough because there are problems. Even in the US, budget can never be enough. But what is important is that the resources that are available, are they judiciously used? So this is the point. Not people making statements out of their preconceived notions. This is our greatest challenge, and that brings me to the question, which one of the questions that. So for me, in direct answer to your questions, they are just careless talks. In any case, and that's why I also make an appeal that we must begin to also trust those we put in position of authority, either elected or appointed. You should give them some leverage. You should give them some level of. They also have head. There's something to offer. There are those who are stupid. That I must admit. But that is not the essence of the leadership position. But to assume that once you get to a position of authority, then you are no longer a reasonable person, you are very selfish, you are corrupt, I think we must begin to change that orientation. So it's for me, especially with respect to the insecurity in the country, we must begin to call a spade, and then for us to see things, trust those who have been given responsibility and believe in them. If you have an opinion that contradicts, yes, you can share it, but to have a sweeping statement, which some people make, oh my God, that is, in fact, leads me to the question, which was the greatest challenge. The greatest challenge is that I didn't know that our level of ignorance is this huge. We, as a people, were so ignorant. And then, even the discussion last night, my wife was, sorry, it's a conversation we're having. And one of the panelists says, whether it's a workshop or, it's a conversation we're having. Clinic, thank you. Last night, before we went to bed, my wife was playing, I don't know which radio station that was on, and then somebody was reacting to this same, incident that happened a few days ago. And then the so-called person who calls an expert was talking, even though he was supporting the officer, but he also missed the point. In fact, what he was saying was sounding like somebody's chewing stone in the mouth. So I said, my dear honey, just either you use Bluetooth to listen alone, or just go somewhere and listen. Because ignorance, is being transmitted everywhere, and anybody who hears thinks that is the right thing. This is what. So at the end of the day, you are confused. So the military, over the years, have taken over responsibilities that are not theirs. Why? Because given our training, you can't see things going wrong, and you just keep quiet. And yet, today now, we are doing police work because let's just go ahead. Okay, now you have carried it, it's on your head. How to extricate yourself is not possible. Look, there are a lot one can say. What the point here is, there's a lot of ignorance in the society. And I think that you as media, especially editors, you must not only build a capacity, but to also see how you can nudge government policies to address these things that are fundamental. They are fundamental. Our code of ethics, our civics, we have lost it. We no longer know what values are. until we get those things back, we can't solve problems the way we are going. Lady Ejiro, Freedom from Information Act. Well, I don't know what your experience was, what that led to this with respect to the military. I do not think that there's anything stopping you from looking for information from the military establishment. But the point is, there are information, no matter what that Supreme Court gave you the permission to get, you never get. And I'll go to the Supreme Court to tell them why. So there is discretion. When Supreme Court gives that, it is information that is meant for the public. I can't come to give you state secrets just because the Supreme Court has permitted you to do so. Because the Constitution also, shields me from not giving you that information. I don't know whether you get it. So if there are, data, like now, there's no way in the world that anybody's going to tell you, what plans he has for an enemy. Nobody's going to do that. And then, a few things that involve equipment, or if you like, processes that you have properly packaged to deal with an adversary. Just because Supreme Court has ruled freedom of information, you come to me and say, I should reveal it to you. I will not do it. I don't know. So the point here is, let us not, stand on the ground of freedom of information, and then you think that is open-ended. It's not open-ended. It does not exist anywhere in the world. But then, you want to know how much I'm paid. When I was, even now as a retired person, how much they are paying me is available, they can give to you. How many soldiers are available in the military is available. How much you pay them is available. What is the budget is available. After that, what else are you looking for? So this is the point. Or okay, you want to know how many ammunition is in the store. What do you want? What do you need it for? What analysis are you going to do? I don't know whether you get it. I believe that anybody will give you any information for as long as it does not affect the state itself. Yeah, so that's the point. But still back to Samuel, even though I've answered the other part of the question, is I should read the media. I think a lot of improvement have come. In fact, let me also mention why we were given those information, given the briefing from Maiduguri at that time. Because of what we also observed, that the realities in the front line and what people interpret, they are completely different. So it is not because it was part and parcel of our SOP. We just, okay, maybe I'm sure this one will make a whole lot of difference, and I think it did. So it's a lesson we've learned. That's why they have sustained it, even though it may not necessarily be, at the level, at the, how do I put it now? The way we're doing it at the time, but a lot has gone into it. So for me, a lot of improvement. There is joint training, some of this engagement, when I also mentioned, when I was CDS, the interactions that we had with the media, and then also the new media, certain engagement, even some media practitioners that were engaged to do certain things to be able to cover up certain gaps. So a lot of improvements have come, but then there are still areas that are to be covered. Is there any question I've left unanswered? And for Azul, I'm coming back to it. Negotiation or fight to finish. It's a negotiation or fight to finish. So you see, the point is this. And then, of course, the issue of Operation Safe Corridor, which I have not attended to, I will attend to it. Now, what is negotiation? In operational engagement, there are two sides. there are kinetic and non-kinetic. The problem of insecurity in Nigeria should not be situated in one silo. That's the reason why we say it's complex. So if you disaggregate it, there are political issues and there are things that are non-political. And then for the ones that are political, what is politics? Politics is managed conflict. That's what Zachman said. Managed conflicts. And I believe the senator will agree with me. Conflict is managed conflict. Politics is managed conflict. But bad politics is what leads to violence. So, if we have violence, then what? Meaning that the politics we played, there's something wrong with it. And that's where negotiation comes in. That's where negotiation comes in. So what is wrong with that? Now, on the other side, there are those who are bent. In fact, it must either they have their way or nothingness. Then, of course, that's where you now bring in the violent power of the state to bear. And that's why the military is involved in some. So the military should not be, anytime, the question shouldn't be asked to a military man whether he favors negotiation. If you are going to negotiate, it's for the political class to know what to do. And then for a soldier, once he's called out, it is, but then that does not mean that in some circumstances, he cannot also use the non-kinetic. Take for example, many of the things we do by going to sink borehole, going to repair schools, and then buy books for primary school children, that element of governance that you are providing. The reason we are doing that, it is not because we want to take over the role of the local government, no. It is to win the sympathy of those who are supporting, to be able to support us in winning our objectives, gaining foothold in our objectives. For them to rewrite the impression they have about soldiers. You give them water, you give them medicines, you go to treat them so that you can win their hearts. And then from that you're able to separate those who are innocent and those who actually are the criminals, and that you can go after. So that's the essence of that. So I believe that you've gotten my answer. Then on Operation Safe Corridor, I think again the developments with Operation Safe Corridor have been misinterpreted completely. There is nothing wrong. I support Operation Safe Corridor. I supported it yesterday. I will support it today. I will support it tomorrow. Why? Operation Safe Corridor is like a prison program. Or now we no longer call it prison. We call it correctional program. Now, what is it about? We have been engaged in this, and we know that there are those who actually are being used as foot soldiers. They don't even know what Boko Haram or Iswapot is about. Their own is that stomach infrastructure got them, and they said take, and they collected gun. So that is where. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm taking much time, right? No, just don't blame me. You brought me out. Okay, so investigation will separate them. Then you now have high risk, medium risk, and low risk. It is the low risk element that go through Operation Safe Corridor, while the others go through the legal process. This is the reason why. So when you hear again all those gutter talks that they are being recruited, none of them have been recruited into the army. In any case, anybody, whether it's a terrorist, convicted, he goes to jail. When he comes, where is he going to go to? So what is wrong with that? So now, after serving prison sentence, just like this one's now, was the one, Madala, and even this bombing, they'll go to prison. They'll finish. When they finish, where will they go to? Okay, will you say you will not take them back? This is the challenge that we have. But the point is, whilst in prison, how have you been able to reorient him so that when he comes out a better person? I think those are things we should integrate rather than thinking that those who came up with Operation Safe Corridor, they are just, and then people in government are supporting. No, all this does not exist. And I don't thank you.
Mr. President, please can you give him a handshake?
So guys, there's this video on the Twitter space where, if you can remember, there was a time these bandits, these terrorists, they went to a Baptist school in Kaduna and kidnapped some students who were living in boarding school. So those children came to Brekete TV to share their experiences. Now let me read the way it is stated here as a headline. Somebody posted and said, "We were told to select 10 people among ourselves for them to buy, just so the government would know they were serious about the ransom." A rescued Kaduna student explained while recounting what the student went through. Nigerians, can you see it? The buying did not start today. Now let me take you, after the students explain, let me take some reactions. This person say, "I didn't think any part of this interview was funny. Laughing about a JS3 girl choosing if she has to die or not is not sensible." And this person say, "Why is this man trivializing this traumatic experience of these minors? There is nothing funny here. There is a horrible reality of fallen state. And you put their faces all over the places. How is this protection, for God's sake?" And this one say, "I don't get what funny, where they are making jokes and laughter from such horrible experience for those kids. You are playing how you are playing. How can someone laugh? Media is a problem in this country." I asked, do we have government in this country? The girl is strong for her to smile while narrating her story. Funny enough, I finished from this secondary school then too. Please, where can we watch the remaining parts of this video? I know this story is very true about the students. Nigeria, for your own. Nigeria, for you. The man thinks this is funny. Anyway, so these students actually narrated their ordeal at the hands of these bad guys, coming to pick them up from a dormitory school. Until today, we've been fixing this insecurity and still we can't. Anyway, guys, I notified you guys that 6 military officials were kidnapped, and now the terrorists have named their price. They said they want 150 million naira for them to be released. Now, let me take you through some reactions. This person says someone should direct them to former minister who has experience with crowdfunding ransom for terrorists. Former minister Pantami and cybersecurity expert shockingly admits to funding kidnappers. God, this one na wahala. And this person says, see as them, they demand 150 million for Ministry of Defense directors. It be like say, even kidnappers know say now where the real money they hide. So they no fit defend their own or guard them. Abi na inside work. This Nigeria sha every day na new episode for Netflix. A big business is ongoing in northern Nigeria, and this person say, I hope everyone in this comment section and everyone who sees this post can now understand that the consequences of bad governance and dysfunction do not discriminate. So if you think that it cannot happen to you, think again. Who go pay the money now? Who go pay the money now? And this person said the ministry. Now let's see what this person posted here. He said this is the Ministry of Defense, Nigeria. Look at the photo. Honorable Minister of Defense Abubakar officially launched activity for the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration Remembrance Day 2026 at the Abuja National Defense College, Abuja, on Wednesday, November. That's yesterday. They are busy enjoying. Their colleagues are in the hands of bandits. And this person said this year's event is themed valor, sacrifice, unity, honoring our heroes. It was attended by Honorable Minister of State and Defense, Mr. Muhammad Matawale, CDS General Olufemi Oluyede, the service chiefs, as well as seven whatever. So It's like whatever is happening is not even, the Algas are really detached from what is happening. Where are those shouting Nigeria is a sovereign nation? How can directors in the Ministry of Defense be kidnapped? Where in the world is this acceptance? The Nigerian government cannot rescue those directors. What's the fate of the common man? This is really sad. We are making mistakes by revealing the identities of the victims. Of kidnapping while they are still in captivity. This is a criminal power to request huge ransom, knowing fully well the victims are VIPs. This person say, where are the terrorist sympathizers? I thought this everywhere is safe. If defense ministry cannot defend its workers, how much more ordinary citizens? These are people. So these people are so bold to do whatever they like in this decaying country called Nigeria. Government keep denying all is well. Coming attractions movie, irony. It's ironic the directors of Ministry of Defense in charge of ensuring security and protection of Nigeria and Nigerians from external and internal aggression, terrorism and banditry are being held by kidnappers. Oh my God. And this person here said the federal government lethargic handling insecurity, inclusive of kidnapping, etc. of innocent citizens, are emboldening these terrorists to carry out their criminal activities brazenly without being stopped. Until the federal government, through the military, get their acts together, the insecurity will continue. Hand don't touch everybody. They've taken the poor, they've taken the middle class. Now they are taking the officials. No one is safe. The anarchy they cultivated in the villages have finally arrived in the government doorsteps. So guys, these are Nigerians speaking. After these guys, this person wonderful 150 million naira ransom. Maybe now the kidnappers now involve some of them. Maybe now that the kidnappers now involve some of them, they will be able to track the kidnappers, call the request of the ransom, and request of the ransom. Abi they not within Nigeria. And this person, at this point, it's crystal clear that Nigeria is helpless in taming this cancer called insecurity. We need Donald Trump to come in and help. Defense Ministry should start press conference and beg the kidnappers to please release their hostages, since it's all they know how to do, press conference every day. And this other person say, imagine 6 directors from the Ministry of Defense kidnapped. Really, what will a common man, a common civilian do in this case if top officials from the Ministry of Defense can be kidnapped? This is beyond embarrassing. Nigerian government has been negotiating with terrorists since the arrival of APC. So let them go and negotiate with kidnappers. It won't be different this time around. So these are Nigerians speaking their minds, and kidnappers they kidnap those way the Ministry of Defense, those way the Ministry of Defense, those are the people that's supposed to defend also. If it is well with Nigeria, it is high time the government wipe out these criminals out of the country. So guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Thank you.